And away we go. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the College Football Mafia Network's Big Freaking Friday. I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown. With me are going to be joining me both partners. That would be Moen, and the Wild Ute is going to be a little bit late. We'll catch him up at the bottom of the hour. He's got some family commitments, which obviously is number one. I know you guys don't want to hear that, but it is. Um, and so we'll be doing our picks, all that fun stuff as we go into this last Friday of the season, the regular season. And I got to admit, Moen, I'm a little depressed.
I completely understand where you're coming from. I'm depressed too, but that's only because Ryan Day is still my coach.
And I have an offensive coordinator that I'd like to get rid of also. So we both have reasons to be depressed. I appreciate everybody being here with us tonight. Let me send out this tweet letting everybody know we are live. I hope everybody's buckled up. This review of the conference championship game picks will be a lot of fun. We want to get yours from you. Excuse me. Since I had surgery on my tongue, I can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Okay. Um, and I know people are anxious to talk about that. Before then, we have a few news items that we can quickly run over. But Moen, before we even do anything else, Ohio State, you guys aren't getting a bye. Isn't that just how you wanted it?
No, that's not how I wanted it. I wanted to beat my rival. Um, Previous coach went 7-0 against him. Coach before that only had one loss, the interim coach had a loss against him, but the coach before that only had one loss to him. So
Right, right.
Ryan Day has 4 in 5 years. So
How long was John Cooper's terrible run? Wasn't it like
2-11-1.
okay? That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to that. I
That
try
is
and tell these young fans are all out there saying, "Oh, this isn't that bad." I lived through the John Cooper years, y'all. I do not want to live through it again. I've already seen how this one ends. So
So I hope everybody is going to have fun tonight. It is our big freaking Friday show. We try to have fun, do what we can to entertain you, and then get you guys involved in everything that we're doing. Certainly, give your comments and questions. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Turn on your notifications. That way, you know when we're posting on news, or we're also sending out notifications about our shows. Um, Consider becoming a member of the College Football Mafia Network family. And to do that, underneath or right next to the comment section, there's a little box. Moen, why don't you explain how that works?
why, certainly I can, Bomber. By selecting the little cash icon near the chat window, you can leave us a super chat. All super chats get read. We do have super chat goals in effect. You can also become a member,
Yeah.
and you can also gift memberships to the College Football Mafia family. We've gifted out 5 this month. We've got another 5 to gift. We'll probably do that tonight if we hit the 100 viewer mark. So when we hit 100, we give 5 memberships out. But in the interim, if anybody's feeling generous and would like to gift a membership to the community, please click that cash icon to do so.
And let's get right to the very first comment of the day from Ryan Willie, $5 super chat. Ryan also happens to be a member of the channel. We really appreciate that. Hi, College Football Mafia. Wisconsin is targeting Jeff Grimes to be the new OC. I'll watch later. Ryan, that's a disaster. I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't think it is.
It is. It is. He left BYU a wreck. He's good for about 2 years. This year at Kansas, how did he do? It wasn't until the back end of the season he started winning games.
Yes, but their rushing attack was really, really good. And I think that's what Wisconsin needs to get back to. I think they went too far out on a limb with Longo and not having the pieces around. There's so many quality offensive line and running backs in the portal right now. I think you could probably piece something together there in Wisconsin. I mean, listen, we talked about it on the Big Ten Mafia show. Wisconsin's got probably the hardest schedule of any school next year. It is rough. it makes Florida's schedule this year seem soft. So it's going to be tough for anybody to really get something going in there. But I would like to see Wisconsin get back to their roots and be able
I
to
I
run the
I
ball.
love all of that. What I'm saying is you got 18 months to 2 years with Jeff Grimes. After that, he starts to peter off. You know how I know that? Because he did it at BYU. He did it at Baylor. This thing at Kansas wasn't even, it was a full year. And I know he coached before he got to BYU as well. So I would say, Ryan, you're good for 2 years. That's what I would put in your book. I do also know that at BYU and Baylor, their rushing attacks were fantastic. The offensive line coaching by him was really, really good. So I will accede to some of what Moen's saying, but I think you guys get 2 years out of him and maybe send him down the road. Anyway, appreciate you being here, Ryan. Thank you very much for your comment and your super chat. We really appreciate that. It helps us keep the lights on. Let's do some other shout outs since we're already here. Let's go Skaven. Yes, yes. Valuable member of the Mafia family saying, hello, gentlemen. Go Big Red. All right. Thanks, Skaven. Appreciate it. Timothy Green, West Virginia in the house. I know this is really going out on a limb, but I'm going to take Oregon to win it all. And honestly, I don't think Alabama should be allowed in. Not a 3-loss team, especially the way they lost. We'll get into this in more detail when Utes here, but you just want to answer that, your own opinion right there, Moen?
Yeah, you're never going to get that analyst job at ESPN, Timothy Green. You've got to learn how to pull that SEC train. Listen, it's their football brand. It's their football brand, guys. So that's the only reason they're in.
And we'll get to Brett Yormark's comments a little bit later in the show. But it's very, very obvious that people are expecting every other conference that's not P2 to just shut up and take what they're given. And both the ACC and the Big 12 are pushing back. Phillips isn't really pushing back. He's just complaining. Whereas Brett Yormark came out with data and he came up with a plan and actually said, this is the reason why, not just complaining about it. Now, there's a distinction there between those two organizations and then, of course, the rest of college football. So anyway, thank you very much for being here, Timothy. We really appreciate it. Stephen Vint checking in saying, hey, guys, I'll be here for a bit. Just want to say that I'm proud of my Ohio Bobcats. Whether they win or lose in the MAC title game tomorrow, beat Miami of Ohio. I can't remember who I picked, but I know that Ohio's got a good football brand, so you should be very proud of your school. Moen, that's your neck of the woods.
It absolutely is, and I will be in Athens tomorrow night, Stephen, if you want to meet up to party after they win. So
there you go.
Ohio University, that's where they major in partying.
Okay. Them in Arizona State and Pullman. That's what I would say. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it, Stephen. Good luck to your Bobcats. One more comment from Stephen. It would be Ohio's first MAC title since 1968. So close, man. 56 years. That's a long time to wait for a title in your
conference. And they've had some good squads, and they've came close, and it always seems to elude them. So
that's
I'll
fair.
I'll be pulling for the Bobcats. So go Bobcats, go.
Stormy Cyclone checking in saying, my hometown boy Andy Williams couldn't have sung it any better. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Stormy, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you for being a member of the Mafia family. And just to all the members that are watching us right now, boy, this is the time we start making hay. We start doing reporting on news, and we're no longer talking about weekly games. Getting through the playoffs will be fun, but it's the off season where we really start to do stuff. So I'm already working on a couple of stories that are outside of what we may be already looking at this second. We'll be developing them in the weeks to come, but I appreciate you being a member, Stormy, and your loyalty is very important to us. Let's see. Stormy says, hometown Wall Lake, Iowa. You know where that's at, Moen?
It's somewhere in Iowa.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Snarky. Yeah, he laughs with you. Daniel Gygax, contributor of the Mafia family. Thank you so much for being here, Daniel. Hi, everyone. Hi to you, too. Bob Swinger says, good evening, College Football Mafia. Good to have you here, Swinger. Daniel follows up with, Oregon is good. I just wonder if they falter in the playoffs. They have been known for their late season struggles. This is not your grandpappy's Oregon team. This team's built to run as a thoroughbred, and they have every opportunity to win the whole thing this year.
Best team money can buy.
I agree. This year it is for sure. Friends call me Sean, checking in. Good to see you, Sean. Good evening. Good evening to you too. Let's see. We'll scroll down here to some more comments. Expedition Greg has been keeping me updated on Mike Gundy, and there it is.
It's not official.
I know.
I have not found anything official yet, Greg.
I haven't either. No, I'm not saying he's gone. I was going to.
Right.
You didn't let me. You cut me off. I was going to say.
I apologize.
There it is. That's the rumor. That's the rumor. The rumor is that they offered him an ultimatum, restructure his deal, go all in on NIL and some other things, and they want to take the money that he would lose in a restructured contract. We're talking millions of dollars, and put that towards their NIL fund. This is I think it's an interesting idea, Moen. Do you see this as maybe another way to go instead of just dropping a coach after a poor year or two?
Here's my problem with it. The way this article has been reported is he was told he would have to restructure his deal or he'd be fired with cause.
Yeah.
If there's cause to fire him, why is there cause to restructure the deal?
Well, and that's a question, and maybe you can find this. I couldn't find it, Expedition Greg, but did his contract end this year?
No.
So if his contract didn't end this year, coaches have a union. What's to say how do they force him to restructure his deal?
You can't. That's what they're arguing, that if you don't restructure, we're going to fire you with cause. And
I know, what's the cause? How can you fire a coach with cause?
I don't know what the cause is. I'm sure there's cause there because of the DUI situation.
Maybe. But they've been sitting on it like a Easter egg waiting to hatch?
Again, the way the article's been reported, it's, if you're I don't understand how you can say there's cause enough for us to fire you, but we won't fire you if you restructure your deal.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. The cause thing, it really throws me off. If he's done something that was egregious, why didn't they already penalize him? Were they sitting on this from years ago, just waiting to hatch it? That seems crazy. So I need more details. Expedition Greg, just keep sending us article. Post the links in the comments, or you can DM it to me. And you have more information, please keep me abreast. I appreciate it.
I think Immaculate summed this one up perfectly. The cause is not getting a single win in the conference.
Okay, well. All right. That's it. I mean, sure. I don't think cause is losing games, though. Maybe it is. Maybe his contract's written that way. I don't know. Have we calmed down yet, Moen?
I was getting there till Nate brought it up at the beginning of the show. He's depressed about the Big 12, and he had to dig the knife in and twist it.
I am depressed about the Big 12 and BYU. Absolutely both. Jan Holt checking in from Slovenia. It's been a minute, Jan. I hope you're doing well. Saying, hey, all. Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. Line Ted. Good evening, all. Line Ted's a valuable member of the family, and we really appreciate him and all of his loyalty. Thanks for being here, Ted. Tony Lawson, I am pulling for Penn State. What do you think about that Big Ten cheering?
We talked about this a little on the Big Ten Mafia. Now, obviously, Becky and Pickles are cheering for Penn State for different reasons, but I would like to see old money. I know Penn State's only been in the conference since the 90s, but I don't want to see Oregon come in and win their first year in the conference.
It's not a good look. It's not a good look. And every conference has got them. Every conference has got this challenge. Let's see here. Coy saying hi, all. Good to see you, Coy. I haven't seen you for a minute. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Let me get to other comments. Immaculate with his eyeballs saying he's watching. He's watching. Becky Go Huskies. Hi, all. Good to see you, Becky. Appreciate you being here. Let's see here. Clay Johansson. Go Blue. Michigan. Not the greatest year, but
they beat their rival.
This guy, and that's all that matters.
They didn't beat me. I would not call A-gap run 80% of the players.
Hey, you're tied to him. If you're a fan, you're tied to him. That's all there is to it. Let's see here. I'm trying to get Harry Austin. Good to see you, Harry. Another member of the Mafia family saying, evening, guys. Good to see you. Let's see. Immaculate says there are levels of expected wins and such every season, but I didn't know that's cause. Cause is like somebody steals from you. Cause is you show up to late work over and over and over again. Losing games as a coach? I mean, if that's written in somewhere, I'd love to see it.
The only thing I can think of is the DUI.
Yeah, it's a good one. Statute of limitations and all that. Yeah, I don't know. Replica checking in. Good to see you, Replica. Another member of the Mafia family saying either they don't have cause to fire him or they've turned a blind eye to something that's going to make their program look bad. But if they fire him for that reason, don't you think Gundy's going to stand up and say, this is the reason they fired me? It's not going to be hidden. It'll leak out why.
Oh, yeah. No. They'll have to, because they're a public university. They have to.
I got you. Yeah. Right.
So, yeah. But I think and this happens all the time. These guys get fired for cause and then they negotiate a buyout. So they're probably not going to have $25 million to pay them. They'll probably meet at like $12 million. They'll get paid.
I know this sounds like a detail, but I think if you have cause, you don't have to pay any money.
You don't, but do you really want to go through all the court costs of proving that you had cause, et cetera?
They did that. They did that with at Texas Tech. They did that with what's his name, the coach who died,
Mike Leach.
Yeah, he was in court for years with them.
Well, that's true. He was in court for years, but meanwhile, at SMU, Craig James allegedly killed 5 hookers.
Okay. Rye checking in. Good to see you, Rye. Look into Gundy's contract changes for the OAN debacle. Do you know what that's about?
Yes, he wore a One American News Network hat at one time. It offended quite a few of his players on his team.
Oh. Okay.
But again, I don't know that you can. I don't know that that's cause.
Yeah, I don't.
You're right. It usually has.
Normally, it's something wrong. They've done something wrong.
That's the only thing I can think of is his comment that he's done a DUI several times in his life.
Yeah, that was really stupid. Antoine Codes checking in for all ASU fans, saying ASU fans are not depressed. I didn't say ASU fans were depressed. I said Big 12 fans. Fans of the Big 12 are depressed. That's what I meant, Antoine. It's good to see you here, though. Did you want to say something?
I was going to say that speaking of new money coming into a conference and winning right away, the Arizona Sun Devils also have a chance to go into the Big 12 conference first year in, win it all.
Yep, absolutely they do. That's what I was saying. Stormy Cyclone, $5 super chat. Also a member of the Mafia family. I want to be very clear. These guys that are already members of our family are giving us super chats, and we very much appreciate it. In fact, can we give him a sounder before I go on to anything else?
Sure. Let's you know what? We haven't heard from Ute in a while.
They've been sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you. And you're sick of it. I get it. They've been sucking you, sucking you, and sucking you.
It's been a minute, but he gets embarrassed, and that's when it's real fun.
Yes.
I really enjoy you guys and the chat as well. We appreciate you, Stormy, and boy, you bring a lot to the Mafia family. We're very grateful for you. And do you want to do a sounder for Ryan as well?
Yeah, Ryan. Let me see here. We'll do his evil badger laugh for him.
There you go.
As soon as I find it.
All right, very good. Very good. I'm getting to some more that I haven't seen. Mike G says, yeah, Oregon, Colorado, and ASU will be running the pack. The rest will be middling trash.
I mean, I can't really argue with them.
I think it's spot on. What are you talking about? I think that's wonderful. You know, the team that was always a next year team for decades was Arizona State. It's always the Cage Tiger.
Listen, Dillingham is
all they needed was a chance.
Dillingham is the man.
Yeah, well, he's doing it right now. Sam Kim checking in saying, why was ASU so underappreciated in the preseason? Is there that much talent parity? Their history brought them down. The past several seasons in the pack were nothing to brag about. And going into the season, Dillingham didn't exactly have this great draft class come in, right? The recruiting and NIL were relatively lower. So that's why. I mean, there's several teams like BYU and Colorado were all in the same boat in the Big 12. All
Yeah,
three
and
of them, people didn't think they'd win more than 5 or 6 games.
they're still dealing with the repercussions of Herm Edwards' whole
That's true
crapshoot
too.
going on down there
That's
with
right.
the illegal recruiting. So,
Yep, that's right. Yep, I hadn't even thought to bring that up. Our Mike G says, "Are we rooting for UNLV tonight?" I'm torn. I will tell everybody it is 50-50. I'm a fan of Boise State. Everybody knows it. Me and you have said it many, many times in the last 2 years. I'm a fan of what Boise State does because, they're the little engine that could. Utah and BYU fans can empathize with that situation. At the same time, if UNLV wins, Boise's going to drop out of the thing entirely, and now the Big 12 is the odds-on favorite to get that 4th seed in the playoffs. So I'm torn. If I was an ASU fan, I would be cheering for UNLV. If I was a fan of Boise State, no. If I was a fan of Clemson, then I would probably cheer for UNLV. So that's where it comes down to. Comes down to those two things. UNLV wins, they're more than likely in at the 12th seed. So that's why I'm torn. Moen, what do you think?
I'm pulling for Boise State. I like Boise State. I've liked them ever since they beat Oklahoma in that Fiesta Bowl. And I just think it would be great for the G5 brand to get a top 4 seeding in the playoffs. And we'll talk about it. Well, I'll let you talk about it. By the way, I want to let everybody know if you didn't catch Kuz's show last night, Nate did a fantastic job on Kuz's show. Definitely check that out. But we will talk about it. I think Boise State does deserve a top 4 seed if they should win at UNLV tonight.
Okay. And thank you for the compliment. Yeah, me and Justin, we had a great show yesterday on Kuz Corner. You can look him up on Twitter. Find him on Twitter, but also on his YouTube page. I'll see if I can find the link. I'll post the link to his channel. We had a great time. We did the whole thing. We talked about all the playoffs, and then we talked about what the Big 12 can do to improve things. Tournament within the conference. Maybe there's some other jiggering we could do with the way the picks are made. It was fun. It was a fun show, and I appreciate Justin for having me on.
Here's Sam Kim makes a great point here, Bomber.
Go ahead.
Can't like Boise. The blue turf will always make me roll my eyes. That's why they need to get a bye. We don't need blue turf in the playoffs.
I hate the blue turf.
So
I've never liked it.
It hurts my eyes.
But I'm a traditionalist. I'm declared traditionalist. So younger people, if they like it, I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't like it. FF18 Buffs is going to be on our show in 2 weeks on Tuesday, probably Wednesday. He and I are going to get together and we're going to talk about the Colorado Buffaloes. We're going to talk recruiting for all of the schools in the Big 12. And it should be really insightful because he's been around that program, and it'll be interesting to see if Deion stays. He's going to change the world for Colorado. I thought he would leave after 2 years.
I think the conference needs to pay to have him stay.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You brought that up.
Listen, I do. I think you need to. I don't think you're going to be able to go out there and sign brands to the Big 12 right away, power brands. I think you guys need to build some. And I think you guys need to focus Colorado, what Deion's doing at Colorado, BYU. I think you guys need to really build brands and lock those brands down. So
I don't disagree with you. I'm just the conference paying subsidizing for a coach is just maybe over time I'll warm to it. But right now, it's too alien to me. So we'll have to bring that up. That'll come in a future show. We'll have that with Ute and maybe other people around to talk about that specific idea. And, if that's something that we could look for. We do know we support private equity for the Big 12 to go out and bring brands in, and I mean other schools from the ACC specifically. But maybe you do take money and put it to a coach. I don't know. It'll be fun to talk about in the offseason. He says, by the way, he's a member of the Mafia family, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you very much for being here, 18 Bus. Good evening, Mafia boys. Sco Bus, hope the Big 12 conference championship game gets a decent viewership number. I am rooting for UNLV. So there's a lot in there. That's cool that you're rooting for UNLV. I think probably for my same reason. The decent viewership number, there are warning signs. For instance, tickets to watch the game are like $18. When it was supposed to be, when this was 2 weeks ago, when it looked like it might be Colorado and BYU, tickets went into the hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. Same thing happened with the Big Ten championship game.
That right?
You've got a bunch of Buckeyes who bought tickets in advance, and now they're
right.
flipping them for $20 a ticket.
Yeah,
so.
It's crazy. It's crazy the excitement level and how it's changed based on who's actually competing in that game. That has nothing to do with me, has nothing to do with Moen. These are all real time happening in our world. And again, the brands internally, the Big 12 has to build brands up. How they do it might be up for debate, but I definitely believe that I can name 6 or 7 right this second that if in some way, shape, or form they were given more resources, they could definitely improve where the conference ended up every year. So we'll get back to that though in the future. Good to have you here. Thanks for your chat. Becky, go Huskies. $2 super chat. Washington might be looking for a new defensive coordinator. Is that because they fired the other one, Becky?
No, that's because Bill Belichick. The rumor is Belichick interviewed at North Carolina.
Oh, for the head coaching job.
For the head coaching job.
Okay.
With the understanding that his son,
dad helps him.
His son, who is the current, it's the dad would take the job at UNC, with his son on staff as DC.
Oh, Bill Belichick there?
Yes.
Oh my gosh!
And
really?
Steve Belichick, his son, who is the current DC for Washington, would be the head coach in waiting.
Oh my gosh!
Would basically, from everything I've seen, Belichick would coach there 1 year, and then his son would take over.
That is crazy. That I had not heard that. So he wins 6 Super Bowls. Maybe he wants to do the reverse Nick Saban. He wants to go in and become the true best coach ever by winning a national championship or 2 at college. That is crazy. 6.
I don't think he's going to stick around but 1 season.
And then what? Promote his son?
And then his son would become head coach at North Carolina.
Boy, how much you talk about brand value though. How much money goes to North Carolina if they did a 1 year with him? That's like Andy Reid going to BYU. I mean, that's crazy. Wow.
Well, I mean, you have to look how Deion's done at Colorado. I mean, it's done.
I'm not saying, I agree with you.
So
I agree with you. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying that's just wow. It takes my breath away a little bit. Mike G says no people root for UNLV. Then the Big 12 champ gets the bye. Boise would be out. Everything Mike G puts here, and it's exactly right. That's why I'm torn 50-50 because it's actually bipolar in my head for sure. Because I want both of those things to happen. Let's see here. Timothy Green, Bomber, I also watched you on Tuesdays Corner. I mean, does he mean?
I think he means Kuz's Corner.
On Kuz's Corner, okay. And it was a great show, just like Moen said it was. Thank you, Timothy. I appreciate it. I'll take a bow and humbly accept your compliments. I do the best I can. I have an interview lined up that it really would be amazing. I don't have it confirmed yet. In other words, I don't have a date and time, but I've been invited to be on a nationally syndicated channel show. And it potentially could turn into like more than one off in a year. But when I get more information, I will certainly put that out there. But everybody here, I'm very humbled by everything you've done, not just for me, but for the entire channel. Everybody on the team, Moen, Ute, Rock and Rant, Pickles, Becky, Daniel Gygax, and then all the other people that have helped us through the last year. I'm going to put together a show, and basically it's just going to be to thank all those people that have helped us in the last year and a half. And I hope you look forward to that show. It'll be fun. It'll probably be on a Wednesday or Thursday, and it'll just be me. And I'm looking forward to that thing. Let's see here. Any other new comments? I've said hi to all of these people, which is great. I want to make sure I get to the rest before we move on to actual news. Do we have an update on Mike Gundy? Does anybody have a confirmation?
I still don't have anything official on it yet. So.
Okay, no confirmation. All right, I'm going to do one more comment here from Timothy Green, and then we're gonna talk about the Mike Gundy situation, because we don't need you here to do that. Bomber, you definitely deserve it. You were one hell of a guy, and you Moen and the whole crew know football like no one else. I appreciate it, Timothy. Thank you so much. The team I put together didn't happen by accident. That's all I can say. These things happen for a reason. So, and we've got the best fans, don't we, Moen? The most intelligent fans in the entire business go to people like Coos and people like Greg Flugar, the OG. You guys are the smartest. That's why you're here. We're not here just to talk. We actually try to give you data and information. All right, so we don't have any updates on Mike Gundy. As soon as that news breaks, if somebody will post it in the comment section, we will go to that source, post a link, or DM it to us on Twitter if it won't go through on the comments, and we will turn around. We will report that news because obviously, especially with the Big 12, it does affect everything that happens in the conference. And it'll be interesting to see what the next year looks like. All right, before I get to the bracket, which we're going to review here in just a second, a couple things that were supposed to be news that didn't happen. The first one is we still have Kyle Whittingham in Utah. Kyle Whittingham is still the coach at Utah. We'll talk about this a little more when Ute's here. But I find it interesting that he seems to be rebuilding this thing up. They got a new offensive coordinator, Jason Beck, he was a BYU, BYU grad. He and his wife, and he's been an offensive coordinator at New Mexico just recently, and he's now going to be at Utah. Moen, what do you think about this? I wanted to talk to you about this before you got here specifically because you and I are outsiders. We look at it in different lenses. I've mentioned mine, but I'll double down on it here in a second. What do you think about this idea of Kyle Whittingham sticking around another year after a historically bad season, 5-7, one of the worst in his entire head coaching career?
I mean, I completely understand he wants to go out on a high note, not a low note. And this season was an absolute disaster for them. I think they put all their eggs in one basket with Cam Rising, and that we know how that didn't turn out.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they spent all that money to keep Ludwig as their OC. Notre Dame couldn't afford him, and then
That's right. Then they fired him the next
Ludwig
year.
resigns midseason, resigns. I don't know, but I mean, the other exciting news coming out of Utah State has a new coach as well.
They do. Bronco Mendenhall.
Yes.
Bronco Mendenhall's coming into a Utah State program that has been decimated the last 4 years. I think they fired 3 coaches. They had another one resign. All kinds of accusations of bad behavior is what I'll say within the program. And it's a dangerous position for anybody to go into that was certainly a young coach. Bronco Mendenhall heals programs. Everywhere he goes, he restores programs. He's probably not going to win your national championship anytime soon, but he will help your program get better, recover, whatever it takes. He did it at BYU after the Gary Croton disaster years, which really set back BYU 2 decades. He went to Virginia. Virginia won 8 or 9 games under Bronco Mendenhall. Mullen and I both know, I'm not sure if the people watching know, to win 9 games at Virginia is like historically awesome.
Very
They don't
good.
do that. They don't do that.
Very good.
And they burned out. I think he was there 5 or 6 years. He was retired 1 year, and then New Mexico. This last year, he went to New Mexico. New Mexico has come off a historical run of 1 or no wins in conference the last several years. They went 5-7, and everybody saw the program was turning around. Now he goes to reclamate and rebuild Utah State. I found it interesting you brought that up Mullen.
Well,
that's national significance.
It's interesting, all the coaching changes and transfer portal guys coming in and out of Utah. We mentioned he left New Mexico. As soon as he left New Mexico, his quarterback and running back also.
And wide receiver, all 3 of them.
Yeah. So I'd imagine they're going to Utah State. Utah State moves to the new Pac whatever next year. So could be interesting. Just getting a little fired up in Utah. Except BYU. BYU is sticking with A-Rod.
Oh my gosh. I know it's too late. They're not going to do anything this offseason, but I'm going to predict the future here, everybody. So everybody pay attention. Make sure you bookmark this time, put it on Twitter, repost it, repeat it over and over and over again. Call me to account. But at the end of this next season, unless BYU makes it in to the CFP, I'm not even talking about just getting to the conference championship game. If BYU doesn't make it into the CFP next year because of the higher raised standards that we've got this year, he will be gone. Aaron Roderick will be gone, and he will leave the program in disarray because of all the recruiting and recruiting his guys and all those other things. So I'm saying it right now. Next year, if they don't do mad things and at least get to where they are this year, the calls for Aaron Roderick to be gone are going to be a lot more than just old me. I'm going to tell you that right now. So I wish BYU had hired Jason Beck. He was in my top 4. Instead, he went to Utah. So, yeah. So we were just talking about Utah. Let's stay on that topic, Ute. So, first of all, tell us what you think about the OC hire. And the question I asked before you came on, I want you to answer, is what are your feelings about Kyle sticking around?
I don't mind Kyle sticking around at all. I think that the Jason Beck hire is a really good hire for the Utes. I think that that he brings consistency. He's proven. He knows the recruiting grounds in Utah. It promotes more of this Utah BYU coaching tree weirdness stuff that's going on, but you know what you're getting into.
Yep.
So I think that's a safe hire. I think it's a good hire. I wouldn't say it's a slam dunk hire, but I would give it a good A-, B+. So I'm pretty happy about it. As far as Kyle sticking around, I'm fine with it. Just win. I don't care who's the coach. Just freaking win. It doesn't matter to me. Like, it could be Morgan, it can be Kyle. Just win, compete for championships. It's all that matters. And if Kyle can get it done with Beck, then I'm happy with it.
So what do you think about the 3 guys he's going to bring over, the quarterback, running back, and wide receiver from New Mexico?
Yeah, that's the speculation. Unless it's happened within the last hour.
No, it hasn't. No, that's the rumor. That's the rumor.
So what we're talking about is New Mexico's starting wide receiver, best wide receiver, and best running back. I think you absolutely nail them all. All the best players in New Mexico, you pick up. It's the same thing that Indiana did last year with Signetti and grabbing all the players from his prior stop too. Right. This is how you build a roster now. I'd rather have proven players from New Mexico and Mountain West play that had explosive offense than high school players, even a 5-star kid. Like, they're proven. So it's a no-brainer, 100% no-brainer if you can get them to come over, and you probably can, to bring as many over as are startable. And so I want to see 4 or 5 New Mexico players. The best 5 New Mexico players should be on the Utes next year.
I think there's 1 or 2 offensive linemen too that did pretty well this last season. So, I mean, we saw what happened with Jay Hill coming from Weber State, brought over in 2 seasons, brought over like 10 players, and almost every one of those players balled out at BYU. Jack Kelly was the latest this year, and he by far was the best linebacker in Provo, and he was one of the best in the entire conference. So I think there's a lot to that. Coach moves, takes players with them.
It's a year-to-year, guys. You all know this, but it's basically free agency every year. You got to re-up players every year. And why not grab the best players from another team if you can get them? It's hard to do that, but like, hey, New Mexico, Utah's offense was so anemic last year. It was so pathetic. It was one of the worst in the nation. Like, flip everybody outside of a couple linemen. I don't care. All I care about is winning. I don't care about developing players. I don't care if they're happy or not. Just freaking win the game. It's all results at this point in time. The results this season sucked. I don't care who's the coach. Just get it done. I think Ohio State at the end of the day would be the same way. BYU's the same way too. There's just no patience for anything else but wins nowadays. So get it done. Bring Dampier over, the quarterback. Bring all the other players over and score points. Be happy.
Moen, do you have any questions or comments for Utah on this topic?
No, I agree with you. Just win. But I think Kyle Whittingham wants to leave on a winning season. He does not want to leave on a 5-7 season.
Yeah, I think we knew that. I mean, that was a given this last year. If they would have gone to the playoffs, even make it to the championship game for the Big 12, I think he would have gone out on a high note, right? Everybody recognizes that's kind of what the plan was. That was the whole idea around naming Scally. This is my issue with the whole coaching thing. I don't think it's a small thing that you've got co-coaches. I know everybody says the right thing, and we can get along, and we have this. Look, these players, they're going to want to go with the guy that's going to be with them long term. It's like keeping a guy around for 2 weeks after they give their. You want those guys gone. You want them out of the building because they can sow distrust. They can, there's rumor mongering and all kinds of things that can happen on top of the damage they can physically do to the program. In my opinion, naming Scally this last year as the coming head coach was a massive mistake. It went along with putting the whole offense around one guy, Cam Rising, for the entire season, build the entire season around one player returning. And this next year, probably Cam's gone. But I think the coach thing, it's still a massive mistake, and it potentially could turn into cancer in the program this next year.
I mean, Whittingham might stick around for 2 more seasons, guys. Like, Whittingham's not. I mean, that's the new smoke right now, is that Whittingham might stick around for a few more. He's not even close to being done yet. And so, like, the question is, what happens to Morgan Scally, the coach in waiting? Maybe he leaves.
That's what I was just going to say. If that happens again, Morgan might take off.
I know exactly who the first call is, Nate, for the coach in waiting after Jay Hill.
Yes.
And guess who's your first coach? Like, guess what? If Sataki ever left, it's probably going to be Beck. Let's just see how it goes.
Right, today it would be Jay Hill. If Kalani, Jay Hill would be the head coach if Kalani left this year.
We're going to do some coach swaps, though. In case, we got to replace some head coaches in the future, but that's just how it is. And
it is.
So I don't think it's a big game changer. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised with how the recruiting's gone for Utah. I thought it was going to be a cluster bomb. Has not been that. It's been pretty unstable from what I would expect from years past. The portal's going to yield good players and stuff, hopefully a lot from New Mexico. So optimism has returned in Salt Lake City in a big way, and the chatters of big expectations are building already.
Good. You don't want low expectations, right? All right. Let's quickly dip into Utah State and Bronco Mendenhall. I already kind of caught everybody up on that hire and how good of a hire I think it is, and it's going to be good for 5-10 years. What were your thoughts on Bronco's hire?
Brilliance, fit, culture, everything. It makes sense. Utah State is now going to be a Pac-12 program. Going forward, and they've got the right guy to be there a long time and get a lot of wins. They will be a serious competitor in the Pac-12 as long as Bronco Mendenhall is around. He knows what he's doing. He can build programs. He can grab gyms out of nowhere and develop them into a disciplined program. They need that up there in Logan, Utah, and it's a fantastic hire for those guys.
And I hate it for this reason. He's going to steal recruits from BYU.
You're not in the same –
He's going to steal recruits from Utah.
No way.
Yeah, he will.
No, I mean, if that happens,
3 stars. I'm talking 3 stars, not 4 or 5 stars.
I mean,
that's
a problem if that happens.
There were rumors that the NIL was instantly refunded to a large extent once he was named head coach. So it's like there's this latent energy been sitting, waiting for somebody to actually come in, everybody can respect. Anyway, that's enough time on Utah State. Let's get Moen. let's do the conference championship games first to catch everybody up on our records.
All right. Here's our records right now. Rock is in the lead at 60 and 52. Becky's right behind at 59-53. Then you've got Pickles and Ute at 50, or you've got Bomber at 56.
Yeah, I went
Pickles
down
and
one.
Ute at 55, and Moen has been mathematically eliminated from winning this, but I'm still going to try and play and get some more wins, make my record look a little less hideous. So anybody's race right now. So it all comes down to this week's slate of games.
All right, so let's dive into them. Let's talk conference championship games, and just start at the top, the one that's going tonight.
We've got UNLV at Boise State. Let's see, Bomber, you've got UNLV. Rock's also got UNLV. Defend that pick.
I think UNLV, it's tough to beat a team twice in one season. It's like that with any football. In the NFL, it's difficult even. That's why conference games and division games are so important to qualify for the playoffs. So, in my opinion, UNLV is going to be ready. They're going to come to stop not just Jaunty, but Miller. What's their quarterback's name? The LDS kid from
I do not recall
Arizona. Anyway, he's a good quarterback. And they're going to be playing. It's not just going to be put 10 in the box and stop one player and get beat over the top. UNLV is going to play well. 3.5 points. They're in Boise. I think that's a pretty. I'll take the field goal. So I got nothing to lose at this point. By the way, I did opposite day with all my picks, trying to catch everybody that's ahead of me. So.
It's a smart strategy. It really is going opposite day because you have nothing to lose at this point and everything.
I don't.
Looking at this game, I guess that's the smarter strategy to win this whole thing. Boise, I think, is going to win this game pretty comfortably, guys. It's on the blue turf. Right now, it's 27 degrees in Boise, Idaho.
Yes.
UNLV is in warm weather. They are comfy, cozy, in warm weather. All warm weather teams hate playing in the cold. It's going to be a freaking cold game on the blue turf, and it's going to be a rough place to win. I think Boise wins by over 10 points in this game. In fact, I like this so much that I should probably place a bet right now.
I agree with you. I agree with you. It's a good game for Boise. Good, setting for them. I think Genty breaks loose a couple huge runs here. Now, to be fair, UNLV has done the best job of containing Genty.
Yeah.
This season.
Outside of Oregon.
Outside of Oregon.
Yeah.
I think maybe they even did better than Oregon. So I like Boise State here. I like them to win by 2 touchdowns. So
Moan. So hey, Moan, just to say, just theoretically and stuff. So if we got $20 on this game and stuff, how many memberships can we buy for the community?
Well, we wouldn't win a lot taking Boise.
Not even with the line.
The line is.
We might have to parlay it out then.
Yeah, it would have to be a parlay to make some decent.
All right.
Crap, so
the wheels are turning.
All right. What's the next one then? I think Boise State's the chalk. So let's move on.
Tulane at Army. Tulane is favored by 4 points. This is at Army. This is at West Point.
Yep.
Well, do you really think Army can win, or is this just opposite day?
No, I watched Tulane last week when they lost, and they didn't look great. So I think Army has the ability to control the game, keep the ball on the ground, no turnovers, and they could win this at home. I mean, they have 4 points. Where did they give 4 points? I can't remember. Is that +4 or -4, Moen?
Tulane is favored by 4.
Okay, so Army gets 3 plus they're at home, so it's essentially a touchdown they're being given. Tulane did not look good last week when they lost to Memphis. That's all I can say. So I watched that game start to finish. I watched Army dismantle Air Force. So yeah, I think they got a chance to win this thing.
I trust Tulane more than Army, and Army had their day in the sun when they played Notre Dame and got embarrassed. I just don't trust them at all. I can't bet on Army for that reason, so give me Tulane. They're more proven historically, even this year when they're running and stuff. They lost this last game, but I think they're going to get it done.
Okay.
Yeah, I think John Summerall's still a head coaching candidate, potentially for the North Carolina job, assuming
Everybody's going for that North Carolina.
Well, assuming the Belichick thing doesn't pan out. So,
I told you last week it was a trophy job.
Right. So I think,
and a lot of people made fun of me saying, North Carolina, they have trouble, this and no. On the East Coast, that is a trophy job.
So I think Summerall's going to go all out. I think he's going to coach aggressive. I think they're probably going to get some style points in Army too. I like the Green Wave.
Okay. Really quick, before we do the next one, let me get to this. Mark put this in earlier, and I was going to bring it up later, but I know people come and go, so I want to make sure we get to this. Mark Bowman with a super chat and a valuable member of the Mafia family saying, I think an Alabama versus Notre Dame playoff game has the potential to be the highest rated college football game ever. Is this why Alabama makes the playoffs? Well, I'll tell you what. I don't think it'd be the highest ever because Notre Dame hasn't won anything in 4 decades. So I think it would be big, but not the best ever. What do you guys think?
I think anytime an SEC team comes to the North to play in the winter is going to be a ratings juggernaut matchup. So I think Tennessee playing Ohio State will get big ratings at the Horseshoe. I think Alabama playing Notre Dame at South Bend would get big results. And I think whoever Penn State ends up playing in State College, assuming they lose the conference championship game tomorrow. I think those are going to be huge games, at least for the curiosity factor, the first season of this 12-team playoff.
I think this game would get massive ratings. It would probably be one of the top 20 all-time rating games. Because it's the playoffs too. And when you're talking about massive brands,
right?
Probably not the biggest of all, but it would be one of the biggest. And it would just get absolutely mammoth ratings. But hey, if you throw Alabama versus Ohio State, I think you get even bigger ratings, right? Ohio State and Alabama probably are the two that can warrant the biggest. It's not Notre Dame or Ohio State versus somebody else. Alabama, Ohio State, there you go. That's it.
Very cool. Notre Dame is a ratings juggernaut. There's no doubt about it. Nobody's denying that. Mm-hmm. All right, Mon.
Let me go ahead and give a sounder for Mark. Thank you for
please.
Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. We appreciate it very much.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
He needs some milk. He needs some milk.
All right, moving on. The Big 12 championship game tomorrow. Iowa State, Arizona State in Dallas. Well, I'll let you guys go first. You guys picked the Cyclones, so explain to me why.
Yeah, Cyclones. This one's more projecting forward because really hoping that the Cyclones get it done in the playoffs. And out of the two teams, as specified earlier this week, Iowa State has a better chance of winning on the road in a playoff game because they play in cold weather environment. They are built for that type of atmosphere, whereas Arizona State is comfortable in Tempe with good weather, and going to a place like South Bend or going to Happy Valley and Penn State, it's going to be a huge stretch in 20-degree weather to win a football game. Plus Tyson's out, starting wide receiver, kicking woes. I just don't see Arizona State getting it done in the playoffs. So this one's more of a hope pick for me, because I'm hoping Iowa State gets it done and then goes to the playoffs and wins a game. But I do think Iowa State truly is the more balanced of the two teams. But Arizona State has a few higher-end players like Scadaboo.
I agree with everything you just said, and I'll just say it. Three things is the difference. No kicker, literally no kicker. Tyson, their number one receiver, the guy who accounts for more yards by himself, doubled than all the other receivers combined. He has roughly 1,100 yards or something like that, and all the other receivers combined are like 680. So you lose those two things being deficits, and then the third is location, and weather. And I would, I just agree with you. So Iowa State, I think.
Okay, I feel a certain kinship with Arizona State now. They don't have a kicker. Ohio State doesn't have a kicker. I like the Sun Devils. Every time I've picked against them, I've lost. Every time I've picked them, I've won. I think Dillingham is building a great program out there in the desert. I like them to come in their first year in the Big 12 Conference and become Big 12 Conference champions.
I think we ought to back up. The weather might not be a big deal, because isn't it indoors?
It's in Dallas. I think it's in Jerry World.
Yeah.
It's indoors. So throw weather out. Just look at no kicker and Tyson being hurt.
Yep, in this game, yeah. In the future game, if it's not going to be a neutral site game, so if one of these two teams doesn't get a 3 or 4 seed, which is still possible,
Yeah.
and they get the 12 seed, it will be a cold weather road game.
Yeah, that's true.
In the Big Ten with Notre Dame, Penn State or Notre Dame are going to be the opponents probably.
That's true. Yep.
All right, moving on to the SEC championship game. It doesn't matter who wins and loses this. Both teams are in the playoffs. Texas versus Georgia. This is not a home game for Georgia. The SEC championship just always happens to be in Atlanta, Georgia. So this is more or less a home game for Georgia. I like the Georgia Bulldogs. Home game. They dominated Texas early in the season. For some reason, Georgia is just the most bipolar team in college football. They look like giants one week, and the next week they just look like terrible, like Carson Beck's the worst quarterback in college football.
I think you're going to get terrible this weekend.
I think this week Georgia comes out and looks like world beaters for some reason. So that's why I went Georgia.
You?
Texas. I think Texas has more quality on the roster. I think Texas is the most talented team in the nation. I think Texas won the national championship. I think Texas takes care of Georgia. There's plenty of incentive. You lost to Georgia once. Even the betting lines know this. That's why Texas is favored despite them losing. So I feel like the Texas program is going to get this thing rolling and take care of business and put it to Georgia. 10 points.
Yeah, I think the page needs to be turned on Georgia. The last iteration of Alabama and Georgia and Clemson, those teams are gone, and I'm not sure when they're going to come back. 2 and 3 loss SEC teams now are going to start routinely winning the SEC. The talent has filtered down now with NIL and transfer portal, and this isn't the Georgia from 2 years ago. So I think Texas wins because they're the better team. And I don't know how they lost to them during the season, to be perfectly frank. What'd you say, 10 points, Ute? I think
points.
that's a pretty good 10 or 11 is what I would say. Yeah.
All right. It's at Atlanta. I know that's going to be packed with Georgia fans.
There's going to be a lot of Texas fans there, too.
Yeah, but
there will be.
Yeah, there will be.
They want revenge, so.
Speaking of teams that both teams are going to make the playoff, win or lose, next up is Penn State, Oregon. This is in Indianapolis. This is in the Lucas Oil Stadium. Oregon's favored by 3.5. Wild, you picked the Penn State Nittany Lions. Let's hear your reasoning for that.
Penn State's waited for how many years? Like 5, 10, 20 years for a massive win, right? It's never come. They can't get past Ohio State. It's time. Franklin's been there for a long time. Like, it just seems like now is a perfect opportunity. You're way under the radar. Nobody's given Penn State a chance to win this game. For whatever reason, Penn State's a quality program. They've got quality talent. So is Oregon. Oregon's traveling farther distance down in Indiana to play this game. I think Penn State packs the house. I think a lot of Penn State fans show up and everything, and I think they get the win that they've been waiting for 20 years. I think they beat Oregon, win the Big Ten Conference, and get one of the top seeds in the playoffs. I think they get it done this time.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll be pulling for Penn State, but I picked Oregon. I think Oregon's the most complete team in college football. They've got that defense worked out now, got it fixed. Uyongale coming off the end is just a beast. Probably, in my opinion, one of the best defensive ends in college football. Going to be a top 5 pick when he comes out. I like Oregon. I like them to cover. I see Oregon by 10.
Is Nitwit in the chat? Have you seen him? I don't want to make him mad again. Last time I picked against Penn State, he got upset with me. And if you're watching this on record, Nitwit, I'm not attacking your team, but I'm kind of attacking your team a little bit. I think Penn State is a little overrated. I think Oregon's going to expose them. And it could get ugly because Oregon doesn't want to play around in the conference championship game. They're playing for something bigger. They want to get through this game in and out quick. So in my opinion, they want that number 1 seed. They want to be known as the team that went in as the number 1 pick into the first CFP and won the whole thing. So to do that, they have to beat Penn State.
And I want to say something in defense of Penn State. It wasn't that long ago they won a Rose Bowl. So
yeah, that's true.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
they
Mo.
have won
that's
some
true.
big games in recent times.
That's true.
So.
It was 2 years
Okay,
ago.
so yeah, the Rose Bowl. Well, yeah, what's this fine? It's a big game, but this is the biggest game Penn State's played since the Joe Paterno era.
Yes, I would.
I'm
agree.
serious. Like this is they're competing for a national championship with the Big Ten championship on the line here and a top 2 seed. Like this is everything. This is the biggest game for the Nittany Lions in a long time. And nobody's giving, even what you guys are saying, like nobody's giving them a chance. Everybody's talking the same way. I get it. Oregon should win this game. It just seems like sooner or later that's got to switch, or Franklin needs to go. Right? This is like
Franklin needs to go. Franklin needs to go. I think I'm okay saying that.
I think the difference in this game is the fact it's played indoors in a dome. Oregon is based on speed. Penn State is based much more on power. Their defensive front line is fantastic. Number 44, that guy is a renaissance man. He can play every damn position on the offense, but it's based on power and trickeration. And I think speed wins, speed kills. I think the speed factor for Oregon is what's going to put them in front.
I got breaking news here. Breaking news,
is it
everybody.
official?
It is official. So let me bring up my computer. I literally just got it in on Twitter. I want to make sure I give credit for Expedition Greg. Expedition Greg, thank you so much for doing my work for me. So this is the headline. Breaking news. Oklahoma State Board of Regents. So let me share my screen. I apologize.
Holy smokes.
Board of Regents has fired Mike Gundy.
Is that a legitimate source and everything? Have we sourced that?
I got this
Oh, man.
from Expedition Greg.
Yeah.
So we need an article, Greg. If you can find us an actual newsprint, that would be great. I took it for granted when you put this in my inbox that this was something that had an attached article. It doesn't. All it does is have this picture. So I think we'll back off this again until we get an official. But thank you very much for keeping us in the loop. I appreciate it, Greg. A lot. Thank you. That's something for everybody to consider, though. All right, Moen, go ahead.
All right, moving on. Now, this is a game where the loser probably misses the playoffs. And this is going to piss a lot of people off if SMU loses and misses the playoffs. But I think that's what's going to happen here. I like Clemson Tigers. I like Dabo Swinney. He's just got the experience. He's played in more of these big games. And I'm taking the Clemson Tigers. I think. I like Clemson.
Clemson is the historically more proven team. You trust the brand. You trust the name. SMU's the new kids on the block yet again. I don't know if a lot of people have watched SMU play all year, guys. I was looking at like the total viewership numbers for the ACC.
Very, very low.
Yeah, like SMU, despite them being possibly the best team in the ACC, had the lowest viewership out of everybody in the ACC.
Yeah.
And like their total eyeballs for all their games this season were like well under 10 million, like 4 or 5 million on the whole season. So nobody even knows this SMU team because no one's watched them. And I can't say I've watched a lot of SMU football too. So like you kind of trust the brand, what you know and stuff. That's why I'm going with Clemson and Dabo in this game. I just don't know enough to feel comfortable picking SMU.
Oh, here's another news item Ute's not going to like. Okay.
Is it Wilson?
Yes. Yep. Isaac Wilson. Yeah. The report is Isaac Wilson is transferring, which nobody should be shocked by the way he was handled this last year at Utah. Playing, not playing, whatever, and then bring in a new offensive coordinator. And the first thought of everybody is, let's bring in their quarterback. Isaac Wilson can see the writing on the wall. I will take a little credit. Last summer, I said he would be at Utah 1 year and then would transfer. I don't know that he's going to BYU, but I think for sure he will be entering the transfer portal. So
I hope he has success wherever he goes. But Isaac Wilson was historically bad for Utah this year.
It was bad. Yep.
Like, so I get like that you don't want like a good, like a 4 borderline 5-star kid that has a lot of Utah ties and is really popular in the state transferring. But performance was unacceptable, even for a freshman. He's one of the worst QBRs in the nation and everything. That might change in the future, but like, I want to know who's going to give him a bag in the NIL world after that performance this year. Like, he's got a knee injury right now. Like, who's going to give him a couple $1 million to come over? He's not just unproven, but like he's underperformed. So like, I want to see where he goes. I think it's going to be a G6 school, maybe. We'll see.
I think there's every possibility he does end up in Provo.
Probably
$500,000 with maybe performance bonuses. And he knows Aaron Roderick. Aaron Roderick recruited him, and we'll have to see. It's not official yet. I haven't seen the transfer portal post. I've just seen a lot of rumors. It's rumor season, isn't it? SMU is going to win this game. They're going to win it because they're the hottest team in the ACC, and I think that they want to make a point. So they're going to win this game. And what's the spread? 2.5. They'll probably win by 5.
Okay.
5 to 7 points.
Speaking of NIL news, for good news for Jayhawks fans.
There you go.
Jalen Daniels has committed to playing his final college football season
Really?
at Kansas. Has signed a new NIL deal. He will be at Kansas next year.
Wasn't he a senior?
He'll be a fifth-year senior.
Yeah, he's a fifth year, I think.
I hope that Utah's not to play KU.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think about in these NIL things? I know we're going a little far to the field, but for when players come back, their announcement on Twitter has been Kansas quarterback Jalen Daniels has agreed to a new deal to stay with the Jayhawks. That's what's in front of me from Pete Thamel.
Yes.
So if he stays at Kansas, they're going to redo his deal. Isn't that NFL language? Isn't that NBA? Isn't that professional baseball? To redo your deal? And yet that's the words I'm seeing all over transfer portal in the last 3 days.
Coaches taking pay cuts, players getting pay raises. So
that's right. Coaches taking pay cuts. That's right.
It's year to year, guys. Like, you have to re-sign your own players every year. So every time like you're one of your favorite players recommits for next season, you're like, it's basically a recruiting battle. Roster retention is a recruiting battle in itself. It's a joke and everything. Looking at it next year, though, KU is in a good spot to compete again for the Big 12. They will be one of the top picks for the Big 12. And Utah has to go to Lawrence. And I'm not happy about this news at all. It sucks bad. Sucks bad. Good for KU, though. It's great.
Will it be in Kansas City or is it in Lawrence?
It should be in Lawrence in the brand new stadium, I think.
Okay, I didn't realize it'd be done that quickly. Okay. I know they're working on it hard. They got a whole off season, so let's hope they get that done. So we did our SMU Clemson picks. What's next, Mullen?
Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State. And this game is going on right now. The last I saw, the score was 14-3. Let me just pull it up here and see if that's changed. Nope, still 14 Jacksonville State, 3 Western Kentucky. Jacksonville State looks to be rolling here. Western Kentucky does have the ball. They are in their own territory, though. So I took Western Kentucky because it's one that was closest to me. I couldn't tell you this team from any other team in the G5. I know they're the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. They've got a funny mascot. I like that big red mascot, so I went with the big red mascot.
I just picked Jacksonville State as sort of opposite day. I have no idea who to pick, honestly.
I just like the name Jacksonville State, frankly. I can't name one player on their team. I just like that name. And the Hilltopper guy, like that mascot, that chubby mascot, has always been kind of creepy to me, too. I just can't get on board with that thing. The Hilltopper guy. So, yeah, he's like the Syracuse Orange, but just like a demented version of it.
Yeah. I really don't know what more to say about it. Moving on to the MAC championship game, Ohio University taking on the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. Bobcats versus Redhawks. I took Ohio University. It's a hometown thing. I want to see the Bobcats win this. I want to see a team from Ohio win a championship. This is going to guarantee that I see that because we've got a terrible coach who can't get it done. These guys don't. I think the Ohio Bobcats win it. I think they break the 56-year drought. And I will see you guys in Athens tomorrow for that party. It'll be fun.
Ooh.
Ragin' Cajuns, one of the best of all mascots in all of college athletics. The Ragin' Cajuns. I picked you for your colors and for your moniker. There you go.
Okay. We were talking about Miami of Ohio versus Ohio first. So.
Oh, you didn't go to the bottom. I apologize. I picked Ohio because I think Ohio wins.
Okay.
There you go.
Why'd you pick the Miami Redhawks?
I like the Red Hawks. I think they're always a tough-nosed team and everything. They've been for 20 years plus and everything. I just like a lot about that type of program. Kind of reminds me of like an old school kind of Utah type program and stuff. So I always like to root for them. I think they're kind of that underdog program. I will say this about the Ohio Bobcats, though. I think that's one of the best logos in the nation.
Yeah.
I love every time I see it that I'm just like, man, that logo is so good. So kudos to Ohio for the logo, but I take the Red Hawks in this game.
All right. Finally wrapping it up. Marshall, Louisiana, Raging Cajuns.
Yep, that's it.
Favored by 4.5 points over the Thundering Herd of Marshall. I'll let you start, Bomber.
I already said my reason. Raging Cajuns, best logo, and I like your colors.
All right. Do you have any logical reason why, or did you just pick the favorite?
Pick the favorite.
Okay. I like the dog. I like the Marshall Thundering Herd. Again, it's from my neck of the woods. So it's the team closest to me. It's the one I know the most about. Give me Marshall. We are Marshall. I'll take the Marshall Thundering Herd.
Okay. There you go. The only thing I know about Marshall is their whole team died in a plane crash.
Yes.
Back in the day. That's all I know about
1974, I believe.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so is that it? Is there anything else you wanted to get to on those picks?
That's it, guys. That's our picks. Winner takes all. We've also got a tiebreaker total score in the SEC championship game. I did not put that on here, but if there does come down to a tie, we will have a winner. So
that
no ties,
I think
all
of all these games, let's talk about of all these games, which is the one that's most compelling for each of us? For me, it's the SMU game. The SMU Clemson game is most compelling because basically two teams playing for one spot. Whoever loses that game's out of the CFP, and it's a winner go home. So is UNLV Boise State, winner go home. Arizona State, Iowa State, winner go home. But to me, it's the SMU game just because this is historic. They just joined the ACC first year. They're getting no money from the conference. Everything they're doing is self-funded, and they have thumbed their nose at that entire conference all season long, whack teams they were supposed to whack. And honestly, I already did my apology tour. I'm not doing it again, but other people are going to be eating their hats if SMU wins this game and becomes the 3 seed.
The game that really I have on the docket here, Penn State, Oregon. We've talked about it already. Penn State has a chance of a lifetime where they're true underdogs. No one's giving them any credit. People think Oregon's going to run all over them, mop them off. This is the time to strike for a program. Like, this is the moment for Franklin. This is the moment for that program where they can take it to the next level. I just think it happens. Just have this feel like the Penn State actually gets it done this time. So I'm intrigued with that game and everything. Look, it could get out of hand if Oregon gets up early and stuff. It could go a couple possessions, but if they don't, I think Penn State has a chance and a good chance, and I'm picking them to win this game close.
Okay. I like the SMU Clemson game for all the reasons that Nate mentioned. I want to see Clemson win it because Rock and Rant mentioned this in his pick specifically. He wants to see Clemson win it because he wants to see how much logic juggling will take place.
That's right.
The two-loss SMU gets left out.
But they play Miami, who's already
play an
out.
extra game, and they get left out in favor of a 3-loss Alabama squad.
And then you really want to talk about gyrations. Now you look down at BYU, the only team that beat SMU, and say, how are they being left out, right? The math just doesn't work, everybody. Look, I surrendered Tuesday night and said, I'm not going to worry about it anymore. Everybody knows this is a corrupt system. There's nothing about this whole process that isn't corrupt, in my opinion. And I don't mind saying it out loud on Twitter, on YouTube. You guys are welcome to call me out later, bookmark this, and come back and hang me for it. It's not going to change my mind, though. This is the most corrupt picking process there's ever been. There's always been national championships that have been up in the air that people recognize or they don't recognize when they were all done by the polls. Even the BCS wasn't as convoluted as this whole process. And the data proves this out. The data justifies that feeling. So in my opinion, we need to burn through this, burn it to the ground, do everything we can to not promote the way it's worked. And as an entire fan base for the entire country of college football, I don't think anybody should be happy about this except for Oregon.
You know what the CFP committee reminds me of? FIFA committee, the corrupt FIFA committee.
Super
like it's paid off to put freaking team, give the FIFA World Cup and stuff to
that's right
places that shouldn't be, like Qatar. You know, like it's basically the same type of stench where the CFP committee stinks. But yeah, SMU is out. We all know that. It's not even going to be really highly hot debatable anymore. SMU is just done. Yep. They have to win to be in. One of them's getting in, and at the end of the day, one ACC team and one Big 12 team will get in. That's it. 4 Big 10, 4 SEC, 1 ACC, and 1 Big 12 team.
It's brutal.
That's brutal.
It's absolutely brutal. Yeah, we'll get into the CFP later. We don't need to burn this episode of the show to the ground talking about it. We all know it's bad, though. We all know the system is broken, and we just need to get to where we can say, okay, we are going to fix it. So let me bring up the bracket. Oh, wait, we got another super chat here. Earl Carr popping in, another BYU. Let's see, $5 super chat. And Earl, thank you so much for being a valuable member. I think you're like 16 months or something like that. Thank you so much, brother. We really appreciate it. Bomber CFP paid for and brought to you by the SEC and Big Ten and ESPN. Well, to be perfectly frank, the Big Ten has nothing to do with ESPN. Big Ten's Fox and NBC, but the point is still valid. It's the P2 that we're talking about, and that is codified now, and that's the Big Ten and the SEC. There's no more talking about a P4. This last CFP is telling everybody where the power lies, and they're not even teasing the idea that they're going to keep the Big 12 and the ACC around. You want to add anything to that, or Moen?
Go ahead, Moen.
Listen, money talks and bullshit walks, guys. And right now, the money is in the Big Ten and the SEC. Again, we kind of brushed on it a little earlier. Talked a little bit with Kuz about it yesterday. You got to build brands in the Big 12. You need to have giants. You cannot have too much parity in a conference. You just cannibalize yourself, and you end up with one spot in the playoffs. Go ahead and build giants. Build BYU into a giant. Build Colorado into a giant. Build Arizona State into a giant. Whoever you want to build into it. Build Kansas, obviously the new stadium. Build Kansas in a giant. If you're going to spend private equity money to go give Florida State and Clemson unequal revenue share, I think you should be equally willing to spend private equity money to give unequal revenue share to teams like Colorado to help them keep Deion Sanders, Arizona State to help them keep Coach Dillingham. I think the Big 12 needs to build brands. You guys just don't have brands.
Very intriguing ideas, Moen. We'll have to explore that in the offseason for sure. What we can do, as like I talked about on Coos Corner last night, what can the Big 12 do to enhance their product, get it in front of more eyeballs, try to convince more people? The Big 12 simply ran out of weeks. If they could have played a 13th week and reshuffled and put the 4 best teams in a semifinal, how much better would that's an argument to have 2 teams in a playoff. They just ran out of games.
Yeah, and it was really bad losses that hurt the Big 12 this year.
All at the end of the season too. It's just
the
bad.
Colorado getting blown out by Nebraska, who barely made bowl eligibility,
right?
That really hurt Colorado in the conference.
Yeah, that's true.
West Virginia losing to Penn State, the big games that we talked about before the
Yeah.
season, lost most of them. You can't do it, guys. Like in the playoff, you can't lose. You got to win. Like,
It's
hey,
true.
like guess what? Like, why should the Big 12 get respect if they don't win? Let's be honest about that. Like, we're Big 12 guys, but like, if we
Right.
can't win in a playoff game, why should we get respect?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't
prove it.
disagree.
Prove it.
Yeah.
So, like, you win in the playoffs, then you get respect. The SEC can cannibalize itself, and a loss to Vandy doesn't even matter because you've won so many championships over the last 20 years. That's acceptable cannibalization. But when you're the Big 12, you're unproven, you got to win. Like, nobody trusts the Big 12, and they shouldn't because we haven't won. Until that happens, it's going to be this way. And so, what do you do, Moen? Like, you're speaking of like using private equity. My concern is this: like, you're basically saying, "Hey, use private equity to build super teams," but the problem is you're going to be on the par with the Big Ten team and their payroll. If you're using private equity, you're not going to be paying more than a Big Ten team. The revenue disparity that you're getting in is 3 times the amount of a Big 12 team. So it's really hard to build like a juggernaut just based on private equity. Basically, what the Big 12 needs is a mega donor funder like a Phil Knight to build up a program and just dump it full of crazy NIL contracts. That's what they need.
We got another super chat earlier that Moen reminded me about. Another $5 super chat. Thanks again, Earl. I appreciate you very much. Let's give him a sounder, Moen.
Sure. Let's well, might as well.
You're a bad man, Moan. You're a bad man.
Welcome, former BYU coaches Beck and Bronco, back to Utah. He says Utah, he means state. Programs Bronco to Utah State. Beck is now the OC at Utah. A couple more comments, and then I'm going to get to the CFP bracket. Replica, 11-month member. Thank you, Replica. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for everything you've done. Become a loyal member. We're very, very appreciative of you. If Clemson loses, I don't see how they recover. Well, Clemson's out. Whoever loses the ACC championship game is out.
Yeah.
Miami's not getting in, and it's going to be an SEC team that backfills that position.
What about this? I think that Replica is actually speaking about like the crisis of the program.
Oh, the program.
Are they on like an inflection point right here with this game?
Yes, I think so. Program. I think they are.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think they are. Moen, what do you think?
Again, I think Dabo has the experience. He knows how to win big games. I just don't see Clemson losing this game. Now, if they lose, you can come on here and say, Moen, you were wrong again. No wonder you have the worst record in the college pick section. But I think Clemson has experience and they know how to get it done.
Okay. Earl Carr, another $5 super chat. Thanks again, Earl. Moen, maybe the Big 12 should give the finger to the SEC and Big 10 and do their own thing.
You could do that, Earl, but you're not going to make nearly the amount of money you have just taking the one bid in the CFP.
Yeah.
Even if you guys did your own Big 12 versus ACC championship, you're not going to make a fraction of what you make getting the one guaranteed slot in the CFP.
I don't think you walk away from the CFP model. I don't think you can.
I think what's best for them is to push getting the 2 secured slots for the ACC and 2 slots.
Yes, and getting to 16 team playoff. Yeah.
My fear is if this happened, like you're going to turn into like if you're looking at British soccer, like the Premier League, we all know the Arsenals and Manchesters and everything.
Liverpool up. You never walk alone.
Yeah, like exactly. And we all know Premier League teams, but who's in the Champions League? How many Champions League?
Yeah. You're talking about two different
things. That's the next league down.
Yeah, the championship. It's called the championship. Yeah.
I don't even know the name of it. That's basically what happened to the Big 12.
Yeah, that's the relegated conference. That's who they get relegated to if they're in the bottom.
And it would be a relegation too. That's a great point too. If you don't play in the CFP and if the ACC and the Big 12 want to do their own thing, they're relegating themselves out of money, out of prestige, out of exposure, and everything else, and you're going to be seen as way lower than you ever were. It's actually setting yourself back to G6 level, in my view.
Yeah. No, you're right. I agree. But thanks for the super chat, Earl. We'll see. Time will tell where Brett Yormark wants to go. Really quick, let's touch on this. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because I want the last half hour of the show to be your questions and comments. Because we don't know who's going to win these games tonight, this is actually already old and ready to be burned. But this is where we need to talk about why whoever loses the ACC championship game drops out, and that's because SMU right now on that list is 8th. Don't look where they're seated. Look where they are in the list. If they lose, and Clemson's not even on this list. Clemson's playing them, and they're not even on the top 20 or top 12 list. So Miami would be the only other team in the ACC that could possibly move up. But by putting Alabama where they did, they've already said and proven Alabama's going to get that slot. So literally, the Boise State game's an eliminator. The SMU game is an eliminator. And the Arizona State ISU game, which is barely even mentioned on there, is an eliminator. If those teams lose, then this is going to be basically an SEC and Big Ten round robin. No, it's not round robin, just championship. No other way to put it. Do you guys want to add anything to that before we get to Q&A?
I would like to add something.
Please do.
We hit our super chat goal.
Yes.
Super chat goal reward.
Let's
Thank you,
go.
All-Star. Thank you to everybody who gave super chat.
Thank you so much.
Chug-a-lug time here.
What do you got there, Moen?
Please be safe, Moen. Please, I worry about you. Please be safe.
Woo.
Anything else you want to say?
Chug-a-lug.
I'm just pausing for effect, Moen.
Ooh.
Anything you want to say before we move on?
Thank you for all the super chats, by the way.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's what I want to
Thank
say.
you so much. Yes, thank you. Okay, we're going to move into our the best part of the show, frankly, for us is the Q&A, world famous Q&A we call around here for the College Football Mafia Network. Make sure you follow us all on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Turn on those notifications. Those subscriptions on YouTube specifically really help us out. Hitting this thumbs up, give us a thumbs up, and that really helps us in the analytics on Google and any other browser you're using. That will really help us as well. So do what you can. If you're new to the channel, get involved. And our next show will be Sunday night at 8 Eastern, right, Moen, or is it 9?
We're going to do 7 Eastern. We do
7 Eastern.
And
Okay,
we will be
Eastern.
having our friend of the show, Immaculate, will be on there with myself and Rock and Ray.
Hey.
We will do a breakdown of the college championship games this weekend, as well as the playoffs, which come out at noon on Sunday, I believe.
Very good. I want to let everybody know in the next 5 days that I'm going to be putting stuff on Twitter about a mysterious guest going to be joining me on Wednesday night. All I can promise you is you don't want to miss it. Especially the OG fans of the channel from the very beginning, a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now. If you are fans of us then, you will absolutely love my guest on Wednesday night. It'll be a surprise. It'll be shocking even, but it'll be a lot of fun. So I'm letting everybody know Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, be here, and it'll be fun, I promise.
You get George K on or something? Who was it? This mysterious.
I am not saying.
We should get George K to be like a contributor too.
I would love.
We should bring him in.
Contributor. I would love that.
There's that golden parachute money.
I'm not going to say who it is. All I can tell you is be there, be square. All right. Let's get into comments. Let's jump in. By the way, this is the end of the show. We've got about 25 minutes of comments. We're going to go. We've already got most of the ones that we want to have marked already are marked. You feel free to leave us new ones. That's all fine and good. But if you want your comment to be for sure read, it's going to have to be a super chat going forward. It's not because I'm trying to freeze out other comments. It's just because right now I have 75 comments we've already got starred. There's no way I can pick up new ones and just say, okay, this will be the next one we pick. We'll go to the starred ones first. So, and the rules are we always read super chats. Those are number one. And then member chats are recommended above just general chats. All right. Let's see here. Becky Go Huskies says, Alabama's better than every team in the Big 12. You know it. I know it. We all know it. It's just about deserving. It's not about deserving. It's about the best. They have a bad loss, but played well all year. Becky, I could not disagree with you more. That's all I can say. I don't think that's right. They've got 3 losses. Every team in the SEC except for maybe Texas is flawed. There's something in those teams. Otherwise, they wouldn't have 3 losses. Moen, you guys want to say anything to that?
Alabama lost to Vanderbilt and got absolutely housed by an Oklahoma team. That
is 6-6
that was been one of the historically worst Oklahoma teams
in the last 2 years.
in, well, probably the last 15 years. I mean,
Okay.
it's
All
been
right.
bad. So, look, I mean, I can see the point, but we'll never know. The SEC and ESPN want Alabama in; they're getting it.
Okay. Ute?
Texas was favored to win the Big 12 or Oklahoma about every year, right? Before Utah joined historically. And Texas like had so much roster talent historically in the Big 12, and they never ever won the conference seemingly.
One
I think
time. One
right,
time in
like
12 years.
I think Alabama's more like that, where if they get plugged into the Big 12, like if you just had a hypothetical, they're going to be heavy favorites to win it. They would be, but do they actually get it done, or they be more like a Texas? I don't know. Like
on a neutral field as well.
On a neutral field, so like it's.
Yeah.
We'll see how they do in the playoffs. If they lose first round, then we're going to be knocking Alabama a lot. If they win and they get to the championship or win it,
Yeah.
then we're going to have a different perspective on the Crimson Tide.
Becky, let's talk about it after the playoffs are over, and we'll see where everybody's sorted out. Unfortunately, there's not enough head-to-head really to answer the question because these teams don't play each other. But we'll do some more guessing, have some more imaginary battles about who would win coming out of the SEC. Hasbrook J9. Big Ten gets 4 teams in because they only had 4 good teams in the conference. Is so large that teams only play 3 games against one another. It is true, the Big Ten, and it's been like this for a long, long time, but the Big Ten's always been top heavy. Always. 5, 6 brands. Go ahead, Moen.
Same's true of the SEC. Again, this is why
I agree. The
Big 12 needs to build big brands. It's
Yeah.
great having a conference with parity. It's great during the regular season. You see what you end up with in the playoffs.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. Very good. Thanks for the comment, Hasbrook. Good to see you here. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Twitter, and give us that thumbs up. That ding-a-ling bell saying you like the content really helps us. Doc Gibbs, good to see ACC represented. Miami's weaknesses were finally exposed late in the season. They were only ranked so high earlier in the season from prior brand name bias. Doc Gibbs, I could not agree with you more. I had hoped Miami would project and be that 1980s, 90s Miami. It didn't turn out that way.
Miami is fun to watch, though.
They are
Cam
fun
Ward,
to watch. Yeah.
And so, like they're a good product to like review and everything. So
The eye
you get a lot of
test.
hype.
The eye test. Everything's the eye test.
Well, I mean, football is entertainment, so it's like entertaining to watch, right? Like, and to watch Miami, like so I get why they had so much exposure and so much recognition and everything. I understand like why they were highly ranked because so many people did pay attention to them and everything. And they had that game versus Cal. Remember when they came back by like 30 points in like the fourth quarter? That's but yeah, I mean, Miami's defense got exposed, and they're really not one of the elite teams in the nation.
Moen?
Yeah, I like Miami. If it was up to me, I'd put Miami in should SMU lose. It's not up to me. Alabama will be in there. Miami's problem is they have no defense, guys.
Yeah.
They have no defense. But their offense is outstanding. But that's only one half of a team. So, but I'd give them a puncher's chance in the playoffs against any team.
Well, because they can outscore anybody.
Yes,
they
because
can just boat race you.
Yeah.
And just get in a scoring contest and see who scores as many points. He'll
There you
throw
go.
for 700 yards like the old Timmy Chang days at Hawaii. But he will also turn over the ball 3 or 4 times. So, you got to go with the horse that brung you, the positives and the negatives. I will just say this. Our contributor partner here to this channel, Rock and Rant, even he was hesitant on this team all season long. He was cautiously optimistic, a lot like I was for BYU. And these late season losses Absolutely kill you. If you're going to lose at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
That's the rule. That's what we figured out. Go Black 45. Again, one of the best names on our show. Moen will be screaming about firing Day until he's go blue in the face.
That's true. But as long as they don't hire Brian Kelly, I'll be fine.
Oh, Brian Kelly.
You
Timothy
would
Green.
not hire Brian Kelly. Is that really a thing?
No, but
I
I
wouldn't
I was
hire him.
poking fun at Go Black. He wants to poke
Oh
fun
my
at my
gosh.
coach.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't
That would be-
hire him. Would you hire
Brian
him?
Kelly is
No, okay.
No
All right.
freaking way I would hire Brian Kelly.
Timothy Green, I have a question for the panel. Who do you think would make a great coach for the West Virginia, College of West Virginia? I would go with like one of these really hot defensive or offensive coordinators out in the country, and there's a bunch of them. Maybe you're waiting for a team to lose in the playoffs to get your guy, but I wouldn't go with a retread, in my opinion. I don't think that's what West Virginia needs.
Nick Saban.
There you go.
Nick Saban. And then
Run
like
it.
Jimbo Fisher, I wouldn't hire Jimbo Fisher, okay? So
Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher seems like a disaster hire to me. For West Virginia, though, like one of the questions for any coaching search is like, what can you naturally recruit to? Like West Virginia and stuff within Virginia and West Virginia. What coach knows the recruiting territory, has familiarity with the Big 12? And like you got to have the coaching search target those things and not just pull some rabbit out of the hat, some guy that had no idea exactly how to recruit to your skill, like to your natural recruiting grounds. That's what Utah's going through too. Like you need a person that understands that. So somebody, even like Rich Rod, like rehiring Rich Rod, bringing him back. He knows how to do the job. He's been successful. He knows what to do. He's probably one of your best candidates.
I think Rich Rod he would be my odds on right now. But we'll see after all the games are done. Other openings will pop up and other OCs will be available at that time. We'll see.
I think you run it back with Rich Rod. Michigan, do the right thing. Bring Rich Rod back.
Heck yeah.
How about
By the way,
Brady Hoke?
can I do a quick scoring update here?
Yeah, please.
Jacksonville State is up 28-3 on Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
Army is up 7-0 on Tulane. And Boise is up 7-0 on UNLV.
Okay.
The route starts. The Boise
Big
route
games.
starts.
Here we go. Immaculate, friend of the show. Thanks for being here, Immaculate. It's great to see you. One time can be argued as an anomaly. Happening 2 years in a row is not. Alabama is a clear indicator of what the CFP business is all about. And if you don't know the context, what he's saying, Alabama was put in last year instead of who? Florida State.
Florida State.
This year it would be Alabama would be in because of who? Well,
Miami.
Miami, SMU, even BYU. You could make an argument. It's not a good argument, but you could. Anyways, that's where we're at. It's
going to be this way too until we get rid of the playoff committee, till we form a super league through their Project Rudy proposal, and we all play each other out and stuff like the NFL model. It's going to be this kind of garbage, Immaculate. Seriously, if we just transition to a real super league, we'll get rid of the slop.
All right, let's get to the next one. Sam Kim. So sorry, Stormy. The only teams deserving more than Bama this year is SMU in a close loss, or South Carolina because they look so ascending late in the season. That is it. In my opinion, nobody wants to play South Carolina.
No,
with
they're the
you.
most dangerous.
But
Nobody.
South Carolina does not have the brand Alabama does. And unfortunately, brand tops all.
Yep. Brand tops all. South Carolina they would have a legit shot at winning the national championship if they got in the field.
Yeah, I agree. I
If the
think South
quarterback
Carolina
play,
could win it. Yep.
holy smokes. They're not even going to sniff it.
All right, I'm going to do this. I've been waiting to do it all show, and this is a perfect time. Give me 1 second. I have to bring in the audio to make this work. If you don't think college football is a big business and all these things matter out in the world, you're not paying attention. So let me clear this comment first. Let me go to a full screen, and we will add to stage. All right, listen to Brett Yormark talk about the business of the CFP.
As you know, I'm a pretty transparent guy, and I speak what's on my mind, and I'll look to do that right now. The committee continues to show time and time again that they are paying attention to logos versus resumes. I've said that before. I want to say it again. And I say logos because they're concentrating on team logos and conference logos. Strength of schedule should matter, and wins against Power 4 opponents should matter. 74% of the Big 12 wins were against Power 4 opponents this season. Meanwhile, the group of 5 is 11-80. I want to say that again. 11-80 versus Power 4 teams this season. And in no way should a group of 5 champion be ranked above our champion. And I'm going to say that one more time. In no way should a group of 5 champion be ranked above our champion. ASU and ISU each played 10 games against the Big 12, SEC, and Big 10, winning both P4 non-conference games against the SEC and the Big 10, and winning 7 of 9 P4 conference games. Boise played 1 game against the Big 10 and lost, and that was their only P4 opponent. The committee clearly focuses on the wins and loss column. Going by that principle, no 3-loss team from a Power 4 conference should get a bye over a 2-loss champion from the Big 12. I'm going to say that again. No 3-loss team from a Power 4 conference should get a bye over a 2-loss champion from the Big 12. The format is playing out with the excitement we thought. Many of you have asked me, what do I think about the format and would I change anything? And I'll just restate what I've said earlier this season is that, you know, the 12-team format was something I certainly advocated for. I thought it would create a lot of excitement, a lot of fan engagement, and that November would be a month that would be truly magical just based on all the different scenarios that could play out. And I think that's happened. At the conclusion of the season, obviously, the management committee will come together and we'll figure out what that format should look like moving forward, and do we need to improve it in any way? The one thing that I am concerned about, candidly, and something that I'll address with Richard Clark at the right time, is I need to better understand, and I think I speak on behalf of the full management committee and the commissioners, what are the key metrics that are being used as we think about the rankings each week? Because strength of schedule was something that was identified for me early in the fall as a very, very critically important metric. And I'm not sure that has happened, at least to date. So in addition to exploring if there's a better format or not, certainly I think we need to clearly understand what are the key metrics moving forward and how schools will be ranked in the future.
Guys, look, you cannot get any more clear than what he just did there. And let me get the right window for us. You could not be more transparent. You could not be more open about what's going on with the CFP. I don't know what else Brett Yormark could do that's within his control. But I know this, what's happening right now is not, it's just not viable. It won't last. It's not tenable. So the question is, does something change in the offseason this year, or do they wait one more year till 26 to make any changes? What do you guys think?
It's out of Yormark's hands. He's not in the control of this.
Right.
And frankly, like we talked about earlier, while it sucks for our teams, we are Big 12 teams, Utah and BYU and everybody that supports the Big 12 in here. You got to prove it, guys. Like, he can squawk all he wants, but if we lose in the first round of the playoffs, then that's justified. It is. You're not going to actually – we had opportunities to win big games earlier in the season. We lost. Why do we deserve so much credit? Let's be honest about this. What has the Big 12 won with this iteration to prove that they are a legit super conference? one of the top elite conferences.
Well,
We got to win.
BYU beat SMU. You're asking for big names. They're the right
You
now.
lost to KU on a losing record. You can't do that kind of stuff.
I'm not excusing it. You asked what can we do, and I'm telling you, he went out and had his team schedule out of conference opponents to raise their strength of schedule.
It was the high exposure games. The Penn State West Virginia game was critical. It was a loss.
Yeah, I mean,
ugly
we
loss.
know that. We said that. We know.
So that's my perspective. Like, I mean, he can cry all he wants and stuff, but at the end of the day, he's not in control. He can't be in control. You're not going to pull away and stuff, and nothing changes until you win. And so just win. And if you don't win, then it is what it is.
Moen?
For starters, can you pull that video up real quick?
Absolutely.
I like Brett Yormark, but low angles do him no favors.
Yeah, that video angle is really bad. Yeah.
As he was watching it, I all I could think of is he looked like a real life Glenn Quagmire from Family Guy. This guy's got a jaw on him.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here is his frustration. Like only minutes after the CFP came out, he got on his phone and basically went live. That's what we're looking at here. He made a statement, wrote something up pretty quick, and he wanted to let the world know immediately what had happened was not acceptable. I think that's what you're seeing there. This was not pre-produced. He didn't talk to anybody about getting something official and nice logo and everything else. There's no Big 12 on this. This is him talking to people from ASU 247. This was not pre-programmed. He's reacting in real time to the way the CFP came out. And I feel what Ute's saying. I understand the argument that says we lost one or two games that are big games, but we also won big ones. Like Oklahoma beat Arkansas, who turned around and beat Tennessee, who turned around and beat. I mean, you could do this daisy chain of games of who beat who forever. I mean, Moen's already said who Alabama's lost to this year. Ole Miss, they got nothing to crow about. So I get what he's saying, and I really appreciate his frustration. It's really frustrating that Utah was picked. I think they were 12 in the preseason poll, 12 or 9, and they went out and won 5 games. You want to point fingers? Oklahoma State, KU,
Yes.
Utah.
Yes.
That's where the
K-State.
Big 12 went south.
Exactly.
So
100%.
but the same thing happened in the ACC. So the difference is the Big 12 and the ACC just can't lose any games. That's
Or
what
they
we've
can't
got
have their non-biggest brands win.
I just don't even think it matters. I think even with those wins, you're still looking. You need to be 11-1 to get in on as an at-large. You can't get an at-large with 2 losses.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I will say this for Yormark, though. He came out with a fiery response. Absolute limp response by Jim Phillips at the ACC.
Yeah, Jim Phillips. For one thing, Jim Phillips' response was like he was sitting at a coffee table in somebody's living room just talking. And boy, we really hate that Miami got left out. And geez, it's not right. And what are they doing to SMU if they lose? Instead, he didn't come out with any data. He didn't come out with any justification. You know why? If the Big 12 is upside down this year, the ACC is a 3-team league this year. 3 teams out of 17? That's unacceptable. That is not acceptable for a league that wants to be power league. The Big 12 went 4 deep. It should have been 7 or 8. So
Jim Phillips is the kind of guy who goes to a restaurant, gets bad service, and then goes home and leaves a 3-star Yelp review.
oh boy.
He's you know what he is? He's a limp noodle.
I like that. I like that. I
That's
like
what I'm
that.
starting calling Jim Phillips the limp noodle.
Yeah, he needs to do better.
From Jim Phillips.
Let's get to a couple more comments in here before we leave. By the way, this is our last little bit. If you want your comment to be read at this point, make it a super chat. Otherwise, we're going to go with what we got, and then we will be off for tonight. So, Immaculate, if SMU beats Clemson, it's more reason why that BYU ranking is terrible. Yeah, it is. In fact, if SMU wins and really maybe even puts it to Clemson, there is a valid argument that BYU should be in at 12. Now, they won't get it. That's not going to happen. But if you go by all the justifications that they're using to bring SEC teams in, BYU fits every one of those. They're the one school in the whole thing that breaks the math at the CFP. It broke it during the season, and it still breaks it today, which is all the more frustrating that they couldn't beat Kansas at home, at night. All the advantages. You're right, Immaculate. We agree with you. Nathan Campbell. Nate, who do y'all think take the West Virginia job? Maybe Van Gundy if he doesn't agree to the contract restructuring. Oh, he's saying maybe if Gundy is out at OSU, maybe he goes to West Virginia. Is that what he's saying there, Moen?
Yes, exactly.
I think so.
Okay. I want to make sure I'm getting it right. Do you guys have any comments on it? I really don't have an opinion on that.
Yeah, that's probably not the play. Gundy to West Virginia doesn't seem like a fit to me.
He needs to retire, in my opinion. Both him and Kyle Whittingham need to retire.
I think he's got the haircut for it.
Okay. You and haircuts. Immaculate, just piling on with actual facts. BYU beat SMU. That's right. Okay, how about Rock and Rant? This was earlier tonight, but I'm glad I'm getting to it. I think Alabama wins it all tonight. It just means more. They need to be Mountain West champs too, and the AAC. Yeah, it just means more, meaning Alabama just beats every conference in their conference.
Are they going to win a playoff game, guys? Alabama will be on the road.
I
going
don't
into
think
cold
so.
weather.
If they travel to a really good team, I don't think they win.
I got to play Ohio State. Who's Alabama going to get matched up? Are they going to be the 11 seed, 10 seed?
They would more than likely play Notre Dame.
They're going to beat the crap out of Notre Dame.
From the projections I've seen, Ohio State's locked in at number 8 and would host number 9, who is likely Tennessee.
Yeah, that'll be a good game. Tennessee, Ohio State, that'll be a good game. Tempest, thank you for being a member, Tempest. We really appreciate it. Boise State, Army upset. Iowa State, Texas, Oregon, SMU. Don't believe I'm saying this. For every Big 12 fan base is saying that. Jacksonville State, Ohio, and Marshall. Those are some good picks there, Tempest.
Mm-hmm.
Anything stand out to you guys?
Well, we can take a look at the scores right now. Boise State is still leading 7-0. Army is still leading 7-0 on Tulane.
And then there was a third game. What was that third game?
That one is 28-6. I think Jacksonville State has.
Jacksonville State. Okay.
Isn't Rich Rod the coach of Jacksonville State?
I don't know.
I think Rich Rod is the coach.
Is he? That's fine.
West Virginia, hire Rich Rod.
Shonsky, another valuable member of the Mafia family, says, "Gotta go, guys. UNLV wins." So he's calling UNLV flat out. Mike G, serious question. Why isn't UNLV joining the Pac-12? Because the Mountain West threw $18 to $25 million at them. And the Pac-12 saga, everybody's going to look back and you look at the order of operations that happened there. The Pac-12 screwed that up. They announced what they were going to do instead of just doing it. They could have stolen UNLV from the Mountain West, but they let it leak. And UNLV went to Mountain West and said, "We're gone unless you pay us money to stay." And that's what they did. They threw the bag at them. So
I think it's a foolish thing, though. UNLV, they should absolutely be in the Pac-12.
Money over access.
Yep.
$25 million for a program in the Mountain West, though. That's not chump change. Doc Gibbs, Clemson still has problems letting Louisville come into Clemson Death Valley at night and boat race them. Used to be unheard of. I actually picked Louisville to win that game. Thank you. It's my fault. They won. Clemson's got issues. I agree with you 100%. All right, guys, 66 more. We're just not going to make it there. Let's just call it good right here. Moen, thoughts going into these games then this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the chips are going to be on the line in that Clemson SMU game. I mean, if there's one game you cannot miss, it has to be Clemson SMU tomorrow night at 8 p.m. on ABC.
Yep.
Big 12 has an opportunity here. They've got the noontime slot all to themselves. If you're a Big 12 fan, you got to be watching that game. I know it's not the sexiest matchup, but go Sun Devils.
There you go.
Yeah, a lot of eyeballs need to be in the Big 12 game. I'm a little concerned that game's probably not going to get the exposure that we want and we probably need and everything. But if you're a Big 12 fan, tune in and support both of those squads and everything. And we'll see what happens. We'll be rooting for either one of those sides to play in that playoff game. So go Big 12, and we'll see what happens in this SMU game because it's very intriguing and everything. And Clemson really might be on like a hinge point here. If Clemson loses this game, Dabo's not a young man necessarily anymore. ACC is a declining conference. Clemson's in limbo land, resources wise. This program might be on the cusp. I really think, I forgot who made that comment, but one of our community members made it, and it was nails. I think that is absolutely nails.
I think it was Doc said that.
Yeah,
Doc
might
Gibbs
have
said
been.
that. And he's an
Like,
ACC guy, right? So he knows.
it seems like they're really on the cusp here.
I agree. I think it is an inflection point for sure for that program. And look, if your coach isn't progressive, isn't willing to adapt with the changing times, that those schools will be left behind very quickly. I think that's one thing we proved this year. If we proved anything, is that money, access only means something if you have somebody driving the bus. They can get you wins. That's the way it is. All right, everybody. I appreciate you being here tonight. Good luck for all your teams cheering for this weekend. Please stay safe. Have a great weekend. On Sunday night, it'll be, when are the picks going on Sunday night, Mo? And you don't want to be up against those picks.
No, they go at noon on Sunday.
It's noon.
They
Okay,
do
so
it
you'll be
noon on
talking
Sunday.
about
So
you'll be talking about that on Sunday then.
we'll be breaking down the championship games and taking a look at the playoff brackets and giving you a preview. I can tell you right now, if you're playing in Ohio, it is colder than Billy Hell here right now. It is 9 degrees outside. Wind chill is like 5. So,
ouch.
Yeah, it
Wow.
hurts to go outside right
now. But besides that, I hope everybody has a great weekend. Stay safe. Hug your family and friends. Keep them close. If you think of somebody you haven't talked to in a long time, the holidays are depressing for a lot of people. Give them a call, drop them a text, check on them, see how they're doing, because this is not a time when we should leave our friends to hang. And they should have our support if we can provide it. Thanks to all them. We didn't have any new members tonight, but we had a lot of super chats. Thank you very much. Thanks for all the members for being here. And please stay safe. Moen and you guys stick around after just for a second. All right. We'll do it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye. Peace.